Coming up, high-speed rail. I also got some tickets for you tonight. I got tickets to see the Last Summer on Earth tour featuring Bare Naked Ladies, Ben Folds 5, and Guster at the Greek Theater Sunday, June 23rd. Also, Big Bad Voodoo Daddies. Should I play them out a little bit yet? No? Yeah? 800-222-5222 if you want those tickets. You give me a call. We'll be back talking about high-speed rail, which is a term I hate because it's not going to be high-speed. Right after the news and some traffic here on Talk Radio 790 KBC. 9:37, Peter Tillman live at 9 with Stuart Flashman, who is the attorney representing the Kings County Board of Supervisors and the Central Valley landowners in a lawsuit against the high-speed rail. And I hate even saying that term because it's not going to be high speed at all. Stuart, how are you?
Good.
So I'm not so good today because I'm looking and seeing that they got a green light to proceed without waiting for any kind of approvals from a federal board that they should have gotten, correct? As far as this project.
The federal board essentially gave them a pass.
And why is that?
Well, basically the main reason why it is because there's 2 Democrats on that board and 1 Republican.
So yeah, I'm looking at the back, but I'm also looking at the background of these guys. The board chairman, Daniel Elliott III, formerly practiced law as an attorney for the United Transportation Union.
Yeah, well, that tells you something, too.
It represented railroad workers.
Right, and when you look at all of the filings that were made to the Surface Transportation Board, there were a whole lot of filings saying, exempt this project, let it go through, from all the different unions.
Man, so now what this goes through, and I love that Jeff Morales, the chief executive, said, he's the head of the High-Speed Rail Authority, he said, it welcomed the board's decision because we can now focus on starting major work on the project this summer and providing thousands of jobs in the Central Valley. I would think that the jobs he's talking about are lawyers who are going to be suing landowners. Wouldn't that be the jobs?
Well, I mean, they have a big problem, which is that before they can start constructing anything, they have to own the land. And they've got, they're talking about a 29-mile. Actually, they're not really talking about a 29-mile stretch that this first contract is for, because 5 of that 29 miles the Surface Transportation Board didn't let them go ahead with.
So are we in fantasy? When I talk to you, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Because if you know they can't start it, and I know they can't start it, this is like my kid coming in and saying to me, I'm going to have a 7-inch growth spurt this summer, and I go, good luck with that. It can't get started. So there's going to be so much litigation and so much money tied up, and it's going to drive the budget up, and nobody's talking about that.
Well, the one person who dissented on the Surface Transportation Board said, we should be looking much more carefully at the finances of this thing because it's going to involve a lot of federal money and a lot of other public money, and there ought to have been a lot of close scrutiny, and we've just passed the buck.
Yeah, and I don't know why anybody's not talking about the legal costs. Now, what's happening with your lawsuit? I know it's pending. What are you hearing, or is there nothing you're hearing?
Well, where we're at right now is we're waiting for the judge to rule. The judge took it under submission, and actually the judge is going to be off on vacation next 2 weeks. So we wait until he comes back.
Boy, I pray. And what happens if you get a ruling in your favor? Exactly what happens?
Well, that's still to be determined. We get a ruling in our favor, and then the question then becomes, well, what's the remedy? And we think the remedy is that the authority has to be told, you go back and do things right. And not only does the authority have to go back and do things right, but because the legislature went ahead and appropriated money based on a report that was invalid, that appropriation is invalid.
Which, by the way, if it goes not in your favor, can you go back in and address the speed that they're supposed to be building this thing?
Absolutely. There's a whole second phase of this. If we're not successful in this first phase, there is a whole second phase where we address all of the other promises that were made to the voters that we think the High-Speed Rail Authority is not carrying through on properly.
All right, and worst case scenario, couldn't you just sit back in your easy chair and kind of watch them fall apart like a cheap suit when they can't buy the land and they're supposed to start construction in July, which is never happening. Then August, then September, then we'll be into October. At that point, doesn't it really just fall apart by itself?
Well, it eventually would probably fall apart, but, it's going to leave a big, huge hole in the budget if it goes that way.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's amazing to watch Jerry Brown and all these knuckleheads up there just treat this thing like it's business as usual. It's hunky-dory. We're going ahead, man. And by the way, Morales, I guess, loves it because as chief executive officer, what does he get paid for being the head of a high-speed, non-existent rail authority?
Oh gosh, I think it's probably somewhere around 200,000 or 300,000
for doing nothing, for just sitting there and lying to our faces about this thing's going great. Oh, we'll have the land. Oh, we're starting on that date. Oh, yeah, it's going to go that fast.
One of the things I worry about is if they do start construction, that's going to be started with federal money, and the grant they got from the feds basically says they've got to build this 130-mile stretch with this 3-point-something billion dollars in federal money, and it's got to be completed by 2017. And if it's not done by 2017, then they can ask for their money back.
Yeah, exactly.
And where does that come from?
The whole thing is amazing, but I don't think we have to worry about that, because I have faith that the thing is going to fall apart, because they're never going to get, just securing land rights, like we said, just trying to do those deals, I think is going to be such a mess that it's going to start to be, even if it's not obvious now to these morons, it's going to be obvious then. And I thank you for thank you for what you're doing. Please let's stay in touch and keep me posted the minute that you hear a ruling, because I'm keeping my fingers crossed for everybody.
Okay.
All right, Stuart, have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good guy. Stuart Flashman, attorney representing Kings County Board of Supervisors and the Central Valley landowners, who are saying, this is never, it's just amazing to me that it's lie after lie after lie, and it's not like you have to dig deep. It's obvious lies. It's just, here we go. We're building this, and it's going to be this fast. It's going to cost this much. It's going to have these ridership figures, and we're starting in July. They haven't bought any land yet. Man. Talk Radio 790 KABC.